Alright, so I think I have ridden this motorcycle enough to do a review, I would say. I have ridden this in the bumper to bumper Mumbai traffic, horrible potholes, good 4-lane tarmac roads, some rural roads, a bit of off-road, broken roads. So I believe I have tested the every kind of Indian situation that one will face while riding a motorcycle. So I think it's now time to see where this motorcycle stands actually when compared to the segment of 300 to 400 cc class motorcycle. Well, let's start with the motorcycle itself, the core part of the motorcycle, and those are the fundamentals of the motorcycle, I would say. And I believe Kawasaki has absolutely nailed this part. It does the basic things which a motorcycle needs to really well, like perfectly well. The chassis is very stable, the handling, the ergonomics when you sit on it. This motorcycle actually looks big and weighs around like 180 something kgs, I'm not sure, but when you sit on it you will feel like it's very light machine. So the weight distribution, the center of gravity, the Kawasaki has done like really good job, and you expect them to do a good job in this regard, if anything, to be honest. So the weight is 180 kgs, but I believe that you won't be feeling any kind of weight even while riding or just basically maneuvering, taking it reverse or like whatever. It's very nimble and very light. It gives the feel of a very light motorcycle. It's not light because I almost dropped this motorcycle, so while lifting up you will feel the weight of it, but other than that it's very comfortable and very beginner friendly in every aspect. So anyone who is new to the motorcycle and anyone who wants to just ride across India or do long rides touring, this is the motorcycle to get, because on single cylinders the likes of Himalayan 450 and Adventure 390, you have to be in the right gear most of the time. If you are not, then those motorcycles will punish you and start to knock really bad. But here you can do like 5th gear 30 kmph very easily, very comfortably. You won't even notice until you see the gear indicator. And talking about the gear indicator and instrument cluster, it's not the most tech loaded motorcycle. It's simple and gets the job done. I feel like it's the most no nonsense motorcycle in the category. It doesn't have that fancy limelight feature, no LEDs, no instrument cluster like colorful TFT, no huge LEDs, nothing like no traction control. But whatever you need, whatever essential you need is there. That is dual channel ABS, slipper clutch you've got actually very good mirrors, like one of the best in the category. They are very big and very good field of view, unlike the KTM I own, where half of the time I'm seeing my shoulder only. But here you can see the field of view is very clear. So I said earlier, the Kawasaki team has nailed the basic fundamental of a motorcycle really well. Now talking about highway riding, very comfortable, and only thing which I didn't like or which I found to be very peculiar is you will feel the vibration at 100 to 150 kmph, but other than those speeds there is like really like close to no vibration even at 150 kmph. And the windscreen is tall and like it's really good. Me being 5'11", I had to go through bit of wind buffeting because it was like coming onto a focused route onto my helmet. But if you are a shorter rider, like let's say 5'8", 5'9", like I have a friend who is 5'5", and he said like he couldn't face a single wind blast or anything. So if you are a shorter rider, then the windscreen is like perfect. But even for me, 5'11", and I ride KTM 390 Adventure, older one, which has a shorter windscreen, so this windscreen I feel was like much better than that windscreen. So at 150 kmph also, the motorcycle will hold up its pace really well and would be really stable. Not the most agile motorcycle I would say out there, but again it's agile enough to go on to the long distances and basic commuting and stuff. Even the turning radius isn't the best in the world, but it's good enough, I would say. I think it's slightly worse than my 390 Adventure. I'm not sure. I didn't compare them like cut to cut while turning, but it's like slightly worse. Commuting also like pretty good. You don't have to go through the gearing again and again. Watch my dedicated commuting video while riding through the Mumbai's traffic, so you will get a better idea regarding to that. Headlight, I would say it's like the one of the worst part. It's a halogen, so it's a good thing in my opinion, because I feel like halogen lights won't get dissolved as compared to the white LEDs. It's bright enough, but it's just enough. And I think if you are trying to tour on it, then you are better off getting a good sets of light on this motorcycle. It's like something which is a con for me, I guess. What else? Fuel capacity. If you are trying to do a long tour, you got 17 liters of fuel tank, which is huge in my opinion. So when I filled it completely, it was showing me like around 500 kilometers of range, which is class leading in my opinion. The mileage also, while touring, if you are holding your pace really nicely, that is 80, 90, 100, then this motorcycle will perform best in those speeds. And this is the average it's showing me, and I've zeroed it like 30-40 kilometers. It's showing me 32 km pace. So like at worst expect around 27, 28, 29 kmpl of mileage. It is like mix of good distance of highway and bit of off-roading or going through traffic as well, which is like pretty good considering it's a twin cylinder motorcycle. It's not the most powerful motorcycle out there, but I feel like it's more than sufficient for someone who is trying to ride and who just doesn't care about it. It's not the like most fastest 0 to 100 also, but it's good enough for me, and it's something which, you know, you won't be complaining about it being a slow motorcycle unless you are coming from a really big motorcycle. Then it can be a issue for you. But I almost dropped this motorcycle, and the reason was that the side stand was really tiny, and I wear like motocross boots. So while putting on the side stand, I thought it was on, but it wasn't, and I almost dropped it. It touched the ground, and but one good thing which I like about it, that the bar ends are like very big. So when you crash or when you drop this motorcycle, they will likely to take most of the impact. The mirror will also get a scuff or something, but mostly it's on the bar ends. But one con which I found during that period was that the body, like, it's huge, especially the fuel tank part. It's very chunky. So if you drop it, it's more or less likely that you will touch some part of a body, which was not the case on my 390 Adventure. I've crashed it multiple times off-roading, and there is still no single scratch on the main frame or a body. So here, I think if you are trying to get this motorcycle, investing in a good sets of handguard, I would say, and a good sets of crash guard would be the first thing which I will do after buying this motorcycle. Otherwise you are going to scratch the body of your motorcycle. Now talking about its suspension, as said earlier, they are good if we are trying to tour or like city commutes, your typical Mumbai Sport Hall, or even like speed bumps. They will perform like really good. But the travel is not the best out of the segment, so we are better off on the roads and tarmac. You can do off-road like casually, weekend rides with your mates, and you can do casual off-road, but anything hardcore enduro, and you are going to bottom out the suspension again and again. But I like how soft it is, but not that soft that the bike will feel a bumpy ride. like it feels on the BMW 310 GS. It's very bumpy ride due to the suspension being like very soft. But here they are soft, but also they are very plush, so the ride doesn't feel very bumpy. So really impressed with the suspension as well. Overall build quality, as said earlier, is pretty good. Mostly the fit and finish and everything, the cable management, everything is pretty good. But one thing which I've noticed is the fuel tank is metal, which is alright, but other than the plastics which they are using are kind of hard plastics, which means if you crash this motorcycle, you are going to crack or break the parts. Unlike on the 390 Adventure, where the plastic quality is very flimsy, which is actually a good thing, because when you crash, they are not going to break at all. So it's very subjective, but I feel like the plastic quality on the 390 Adventure is much better. The tires are like very same to the 390 Adventure, the tire size, and they will give you a vibe of touring tires and bit of off-road too, but like they are not off-roading tires, like not even close. You won't feel any confident whatsoever, and the bike will just skid around. MRF tires, so they are good on tarmac, very good on tarmac, very stable at high speed as well. But one thing, the wheels are not alloy wheels, and they are tube spokes, which many people are hesitant about, because if you get a puncture or something, then you cannot fix it at the moment, because it can be a very complicated thing. But again, like, I've ridden this motorcycle through some very bad patches of roads, so I feel like if it had alloys, then I'm pretty sure the alloy wheels might have got the bent. So there are both good and bad sides of using spoke wheels. So I would say, if you are trying to buy this motorcycle, just learn to change the tube, or get a aftermarket tubeless rims, or maybe alloy wheels. Talking about the brakes, as said in the touring video, the brakes are pretty good for the what kind of power this motorcycle has, but the brakes are better on my 390 Adventure. They have like more bite, and they are like simply better brakes due to the larger disc size and the brake being centered. But these brakes on these motorcycles are pretty good, especially the rear brake. Even though I don't use, and I don't recommend people just to rely on the rear brakes. Like, you should mostly use 70% of the braking from the front brake, especially with two or just simply one fingers. But even the rear brakes are like pretty good. Rear brake like better than my 390 Adventure actually. So if you are someone who likes using the rear brakes more, then it's pretty good motorcycle. But overall the braking has been pretty good in my experience. And now talking about the pillion comfort, I've actually sat on the back seat of this motorcycle while one of my friend was riding, and the pillion seat is like comfortable for the most part. But one thing which I found very weird is how elevated the pillion seat is. It's like sitting on a sports motorcycle, which I found very peculiar and weird, because it's a adventure tourer motorcycle. So one would imagine the seat to be slightly elevated, or mostly with the rider seat, mostly aligned with the rider seat, but not the case here. The seat is very elevated. So if you are trying to get a pillion on this motorcycle, I would say go with the pillion and test ride this vehicle, especially with the pillion, because the seat is elevated, so it might get a while for you to get used to the pillion seat. But other than that, no complaints. It's very spacious, unlike the new 390 Adventure, which is a single seat, and it's a curvy kind of a seat, so the pillion doesn't have a lot of room to rest on the seat. The Himalayan 450 has a very good pillion seat, so I would say just go and ride with the pillion on this motorcycle while test riding this motorcycle. Other than that, the only thing which I will upgrade about this motorcycle is get a hand guards, get a crash guards, and maybe put a charger here, not from the Kawasaki. All these things not from the Kawasaki, because they sell all these things at absurd amount of pricing, I should say. So get an aftermarket charger like Photronics or anything should work on this lot, and you would be alright, and the motorcycle would be ready to tour. Especially it has a top rack setup already built into the motorcycle. So even if you are not carrying a top box, there is good amount of space to just tie up a luggage while you are touring with the pillion. So overall conclusion of this motorcycle would be, if you are someone who is a short heighted, or who likes you are someone who likes to ride their motorcycle long distances, then this motorcycle may be just right for you. I know the maintenance is expensive compared to the singles, but that's the price you have to pay for owning a Kawasaki and a twin cylinder motorcycle. Again, the parts are also, I believe, would be expensive because they are imported, not made in India. So again, that's the price you will have to pay for owning a Kawasaki motorcycle. But again, speaking just about the motorcycle, it's one of the best motorcycle in a touring category. It's very stable at high speed, very nimble, 17 liters of fuel capacity, got all the basic necessary safety features that one must have, and it's a no nonsense motorcycle, as said earlier. It's like buying a 1-year-old iPhone compared to the latest Android. You know, the Android has 4 cameras and your iPhone has a 2 camera. Android has 120Hz display, your iPhone doesn't have 120Hz display. Android has faster charging, your iPhone doesn't have a faster charging, but you still end up buying an iPhone, right? You know, it's very expensive to repair if you damage that iPhone as compared to the Android, but you still end up buying an iPhone. Why? Because whatever the iPhone does, it does it like really good, really well. So that's the summary of this motorcycle. It's like buying a 1-year-old iPhone, because whatever it's supposed to do, it does really well, and something, it's just top of the class. One thing I would like Kawasaki to do is to manufacture this bike in India. Not this, just this bike, whole 300cc class of their motorcycle, that is likes of Ninja and this motorcycle. Because after the GST changes, the 300cc class becomes very attractive segment, and Kawasaki being a twin cylinder at a 300cc class would make these bikes very attractive in India. And it will also reduce the maintenance cost and parts cost, and they can get the parts from the OEMs which Indian motorcycle manufacturer buys, and tune this motorcycle to the Indian usage. That is like putting alloy wheels, maybe a bit taller, maybe a longer suspension as well, and it's a winner waiting to just take the crown. So I believe it would be a win-win for Kawasaki and customers. But again, whatever the pricing it has, that is 3.5 lakh rupees ex showroom after the GST cuts. So certainly if you are a person who is especially a short heighted and new to like touring category, then this motorcycle may be just for you. Again, I mentioned the cons. The maintenance and the spares would be expensive comparatively. I will write those maintenance and service costs somewhere on the screen, so that you can get an idea to how expensive this motorcycle would be to maintain. But other than that, whatever time I've had this motorcycle, it has performed like really well, and I think it's a winner if you fit into a specific category of a motorcycle enthusiast. So I guess that's pretty much it, and thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, you know the drill.